All right, this is the video about Geosphere, the Geosphere, and we're on page 370 right now of our PDF, so please follow along. So the Geosphere consists of four main layers. Remember, the Geosphere is like solid things, like the Earth, like rocks, basically, rocks and minerals, okay? So it consists of four main layers: the crust, the mantle, the outer core, and the inner core. Now the crust is the part that we're most familiar with because it is this part here. It's the top layer of the geosphere. It's solid and it ranges in depth from 0 kilometers on the ocean floor to 70 kilometers at the top of some mountains. Okay, so at the ocean's floor, there is not even, the ocean's floor is just basically already touching the upper mantle, okay? But some mountains, the crust can be 70 kilometers deep, okay? But the crust, you'll see, is definitely the thinnest layer of the Earth. So it covers Earth's surface, and the temperatures can range from 0 degrees Celsius to nearly 800 degrees Celsius close to the mantle. So that you're going to find that the closer you get to the middle, okay, the farther into the Earth you go, the hotter it gets. So on the outside, it's not that hot. We live on it, we walk on it. It doesn't burn our feet unless the sun has really heated it up. But down here, close to the mantle, it can get up to 800 degrees. So you wouldn't want to hang out over there. Okay, now the mantle is below the crust. It's represented with this white or gray thing here, right? It's the next layer down below the crust. It's divided into an upper layer and a lower layer. So we have the upper mantle and the lower mantle, okay? As you can see, this is by far the biggest part of the Earth, okay? It consists of rock that is solid but can flow, so like lava, right? Like magma. So it's made out of rock, but sometimes it gets so hot that it can be almost liquid. And it's about 2,900 kilometers thick, okay? So if you wanted to go through the mantle and get into the outer core, you'd have to drill down 2,900 kilometers. That's a really long way. That'd be like the distance it is to go all the way from like northern China to southern China, right? That's a really long distance. You'd have to drill down to be able to get all the way through the mantle, okay? So away from boundaries with other layers, the mantle has a temperature of 1,350 degrees Celsius to 2,500 degrees Celsius. That is hot as can be. You don't want to be down there, trust me. Okay. Now the outer core is below the mantle from about 2,900 kilometers to 5,200 kilometers. Okay. That's how deep it is. It's way here down here in the middle. This is the light yellow part here, the outer core. All right, and it is liquid alloy, okay? It's made out of liquid metals, especially iron and nickel. It's mainly made out of iron and nickel. This is what we assume. Of course, we've never been down there, but scientists have good reason to believe that it's made out of mostly of iron and nickel. And the temperature is 4,000 degrees to 5,500 degrees Celsius. Very, very, very hot. You can see the deeper we go, the deeper we go, the hotter it gets, okay? And finally, the inner core, this little thing, this orange thing that looks like the sun here, it's the center of the Earth. It's a solid ball of mostly iron and nickel. Interesting that it is solid. It is no longer liquidy here. This is solid, and I think what you'll find is because there's so much pressure on that middle part that it makes it solid. It is also mostly made out of iron and nickel, and it is 5,200 kilometers to 6,400 kilometers below Earth's surface and reaches temperatures between 5,500 degrees Celsius and 6,200 degrees Celsius. This is really, 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 really hot, okay? Normally, these metals would have melted when they're this hot, but because there's so much pressure being put on this middle part, it keeps it solid. You can think about the oobleck that we made, and when you put pressure on it, it made it solid, remember? So since there's so much pressure on this middle part, it stays solid even though it's extremely hot, okay? So you're going to use the information that we just learned from up here to do this part here, do number 3. So you're going to fill in the following chart to compare and contrast the characteristics of each layer of the geosphere. Okay, so thickness, state of matter, so that's going to be what is it, liquid or solid? Okay, so state of matter means liquid or solid. I suggest that you write these notes down right now so you know what you should be writing. Your thickness means how thick it is, right? Okay, so an example of how to know how thick something is 2,900 kilometers to 5,200 kilometers. So the way you'd find how thick that is, you'd do 5,200 minus 2,900 and you'd get the thickness, okay? The state of matter, like I said, is whether it's liquid, solid, or gas. You're basically only dealing with liquids and solids here. The temperature, okay, you know how to do that. That's this degrees Celsius. And the composition means what is it made out of? What is it made out of? So like, for example, the inner core here we see is made out of nickel and iron. Okay, so that's what you would write down for here. If you have any troubles with this, just send me a message. You can go ahead and do it now if you want to pause the video, or you can do it after the video is finished. But make sure you do a good job, and when you're finished, I will send you the correct answers, and you can check your work based on that. Okay, dirt and soil. You may have noticed that the geosphere changes. Rocks are broken down and moved by wind and water, changing the appearance of Earth's surface. Changes that you can't see also occur below Earth's surface. So study the dirt shown in the photo. What is dirt made of? So I want you to look at this picture here of the dirt, all right? And I want you to think about what is this made of. I'm going to zoom in so that you can get a really good look at what this picture is. And if you want, you could pause the video here and see what you see. Okay, so all you're going to do is see what is it you think that you see in this dirt, and think about your experiences with dirt, okay, and think about what is dirt made out of. That's basically what you're thinking, because it's not all one thing. It's lots of things put together, right? Okay. If you look closely, you can see that dirt is made of specifically defined particles of sand, silt, and gravel, as well as organic material. So I guess they just gave you the answer if you're paying attention. Maybe they just gave you a few of the things that should be here. All right. So people often use the word dirt to refer to the material that is on the ground and that plants grow in, but the more accurate term is soil. Soil is the top layer of Earth's crust and is made up of rock particles, clay, and organic material. Organic means living things. So when we talk about organic material in the dirt or in the soil, we're talking about dead trees, dead animals, dead plants that decomposers, remember from our last unit, have broken down and turned it into soil that plants can use to as nutrients. The organic material consists of both living organisms and the remains of once living organisms. Okay, that's what I was just saying. I guess they're also including little bugs and bacteria and stuff as part of the soil, the living organisms that are still alive. Soil is what plants grow in. So how could you explain the difference between soil and dirt to friends who say they need to get some dirt because they're going to plant some flowers in their garden? So what is the difference between dirt, which is like this here, and soil? Okay, if you need to, you can do a little bit of research, maybe a quick Google search or Bing search, and you should be able to find some interesting websites that will give you some examples of how dirt and soil are different from each other. Once you've finished that, you're going to come down here and look at the rock cycle. So the rock cycle is a cycle in which rocks change from one form to another through natural processes. Rocks are always changing. Some processes in the rock cycle happen more quickly than others. Some, such as weathering and erosion, happen at Earth's surface, while others, such as heat and pressure, happen deep inside Earth. Okay? So we're going to learn about 3 different types of rock here that are in the rock cycle. The igneous rock, which is this one right here, is formed as magma cools. That means magma is like lava, like that comes out of a volcano. Okay, this is melted rock, okay, like liquid rock almost. It can be broken down into sediment, that means little pieces of rock, sediment, by weathering and erosion, okay? Weathering and erosion is like when the wind or water breaks the rock down, okay, into smaller pieces. It can also melt back into magma when exposed to high temperatures, or change into metamorphic rock when exposed to high temperatures and pressure. Okay, so that is igneous rock. Sedimentary rock forms when sediment is compacted under moderate pressure and exposed to mineral-rich water. Remember, sediment means little pieces of rock. So when little pieces of rock, okay, are put under pressure, that means you squeeze them together, and they get exposed to water that has lots of minerals in it, okay, then it changes into then you have sedimentary rock. Then you have sedimentary rock. Now, sedimentary rock changes into metamorphic rock when exposed to heat and high pressure, and can be broken down into sediment through weathering and erosion. Okay, so what you're starting to see is this can become this, which can become this, which can become this. So just like water, our rocks also go through a cycle where they're constantly changing, okay? Metamorphic rock can be broken down into sediment also through the process of weathering and erosion, okay? If exposed to high temperatures, it can melt and then cool and become igneous rock, okay? So high temperatures and pressure are the blue arrows, like this one and this one and this one. The orange ones are melting and recooling, like this one and this one and this one here up top. Okay, and the green ones are breakdown and cementation. Okay, so it's this one and this one. So as you can see, when different things happen to rocks, they change into different types of rocks. Okay, so this one can change into this one or this one. This one can change into this one and this one. This one can change into this one and this one. So depending on what happens to a rock, it can change into a different type of rock. And these are just the names that we have decided to give to the different types of rocks. And of course, there are lots of different types of sedimentary rock and lots of types of igneous rock and lots of types of metamorphic rocks. But these are the broad categories that we put different rocks into. Okay, so now you know a little bit about the rock cycle, and you can answer number 6. How does the rock cycle contribute to the production of soil at Earth's surface? So when you start thinking about this, how does the rock cycle end up producing soil? Okay, so this is another thing that you could maybe do a little bit of research on. You could ask this question to Google or Bing, and just do your best to think about what you think the answers are, what you find in your research. Make sure you put it in your own words, and then once you send that to me, I will provide you with an example of a good answer. So that's it for our Geosphere video. I'm going to stop it now, and then you can answer these questions, and then next up you will watch the atmosphere video.